Hello everyone, welcome back to my project about strengthening the sense of community belonging through a pub. The aim of my project is exploring the role of a community pub in creating a sense of community belonging and enhancing social well-being to help reverse the shutdown of a community pub. Now, time to previous review. In last review, I've mainly done three things. First, I make clear about what's my definition of a community pub. I decided to focus on the independently run community pubs, which include family-run pub and the traditional neighborhood pub. Then, I checked the distribution of those typical community pubs in Glasgow and found that there is a distribution gap between the northern walls and southern walls. So I'm more curious about the community pubs located in the southern part. After the 6 experts interview, I got some insights from the microscopic to microscopic in terms of the relationship among community pub and community pub and residents, and the demographics in a community pub. So based on that, in my subsequent research, I intend to further figure out the relationship between an independent run pub and its located community, especially in the south side, which means from the microscopic views, I need to understand what are the characters or challenges of the communities. How did the changes, such as history, culture, demographic, of a community influence the traditional community pubs? And for the community, what roles can the community pubs play in the community? From the narrowed views, I need to research the various groups involved in systems. How do they interact with each other? And what's the relationship or attitude among them? To figure out those questions, in this phase, I mainly used the case study and in-depth interviews to develop my research. As I said, I'm more curious about the South Side, so I chose 3 communities in the South Side: Govan, Gorbals, and Govan Hill, and 1 community, Partick, in the northern part. Then I chose 4 community pubs in those areas: the Pub Bar in Partick, the Laurie Aston Bar in Gorbals, the Nathan's and the Ellison Arms in Govan Hill. And then I talked with 7 interviewees, including 1 history researcher, 1 industry researcher, 3 pub staff, and 2 regular drinkers to collect information. From this page, I will present my case study analysis. That you will find every community and its pubs has the charming characters and services. So let's see Partick first. Partick is an area popular for the Irish immigrants, Highlanders and Islanders, so it has an influential regional culture. Such a cultural identity could create a sense of community belonging for the people who come from similar regions. But we can also see that from the right chart, the interactive behaviors tend to happen just among the involved groups in the community pub. Thus, I infer that such a regional culture might bring some barriers for people from other areas. Well, we can see some changes in Gowan and Gobles. These 2 communities are historical industrial communities. The noticeable demographical and industrial changes make the sense of community belonging reflected in old traditions, relations, and memories. That's why from the right chart, we can see the social interactions not only happened in the pub, but also happened among the groups in and outside the community, such as between the pub staff and the former residents not living in other communities. The community pubs in those areas could play a role in taking care of the remote senior residents and inheriting the traditions, but they may have to face the challenge of the mindset gap between the older and younger generation, insider and outsiders. Finally, let's see Govan Hill. It has diverse cultures due to various immigration. It even includes the non-alcohol culture. Therefore, from the right chart, we can see the interactions and relationships become more complicated compared with the last two communities. Non-drinkers and students are the main factors to force the closure and transitions of a community pub. The survived community pubs has some community sense to integrate some community services, but they currently provide more social care just to the regular customers and remote residents. But the new residents will seek a sense of community belonging, but they may have a negative mindset to the local community pubs due to cultural or economic reasons. Based on the case studies, I'm sure that a traditional community pub can play a or more roles in creating a sense of community belonging. But to think further, who needs the sense of community belonging created through a pub? How can they feel the sense of community belonging? It mainly involved the five stakeholder groups in my research: the regular drinkers, non regular drinkers and non drinkers, outside community residents, and pub staff. All of them can feel the sense of community belonging from different aspects, such as the familiar social capital, historical and cultural traditions, getting integrated into the community life easily, and making contribution to the communities. So what's the challenge for the community pubs in creating and strengthening the sense of community belonging? According to the above analysis, I found that a part of traditional community pubs has the community sense to play a role in caring for the customers and residents. However, most of those services are just for the regular customers and residents. So for the pub staff, they need to strengthen the community sense to extend the community bond to the non-regular drinkers and non-drinkers. And those non-regular drinkers and non-drinkers have a challenge in building the awareness of public health. They need to take the community pub as an entrance to get to know the community. But it's hard for them to have such a mindset. And for the regular drinkers, they may feel a gap in inheriting traditional pub or drinking culture to the younger generation or the non-regular drinkers. So how to strengthen the sense of community belonging through a community pub? I proposed 6 how might we's based on different stakeholder groups. For the pub staff, how might we strengthen the community sense of them to help the community pub be more inclusive? For the non-regular drinkers and non-drinkers, I would call them the new drinkers. How might we make the pub more accessible to them? How might we build the public house mindset for them? How might we help them enjoy conversations with those regular drinkers or pub staff in a community pub? And for the regular drinkers, how might we help them to inherit the traditional drinking or pub culture to the younger generation? How might we help the younger drinkers can enjoy the no fancy services in a community pub? And that's all the current development of my project. Thanks for your time for listening. See you next time.